Today we're going to talk about unit rate. In your notebooks, open to the table of contents and write page 33. And today's topic is unit rate. Then turn to your next clean page in your notebook and set it up for our notes. Today's learning goal: I can find the unit rate of a ratio that compares two quantities with different units of measure. Underneath your learning goal, write what you know. Underneath your what I know, you should be able to write something that you know about ratios. After that, leave space for what I learned, proof, and reflection. Pause the video while you do this, and then hit play when you're ready to continue with your notes. Some important vocabulary as we work through talking about unit rates. The word rate is a ratio that compares two quantities with different units of measure. If we think about a car, it drives miles per hour. Miles and hours are two different units, so that will be a rate. A unit rate is a rate in which the second measurement or amount is 1 unit. And when we talk about unit rate, we're going to hear the word per a lot. And that word per is going to mean for every one. So for every 1 unit, think of the word per. Let's start by looking at an example. 3 full vans, all with the same number of seats, hold a total of 36 people. The unit rate is the number of people per 1 van. What is the unit rate? And remember, we said that word per means for every one. So to find the unit rate, the first thing we need to do is to find the number of people that need to fill in 1 van. In order to do this, we're going to create a table to show the 2 units of measure that we are comparing. And we are comparing the number of vans with a certain number of people. So we're going to create a table, and in the top I put vans, and underneath it I put people. In the problem, it told us that there were 3 vans, so in the same row with vans, we're writing the number 3. And then under people, it told us there were 36 people, so we're going to put that in the section with the people. Now, we want to see how many people will fit in 1 van. So in our table, in that same row where we have the van information, we're going to add, and we're going to change it. In the end, we're going to make it now a number 1, because we want to figure out how many will fit in just 1 van. Now, we need to think about how much this row has changed. So to go from 3 to 1, we need to think about what's happened. And to go from 3 to 1, we divide by 3. Your operation is either going to be multiplication if your number gets bigger, or division if your number gets smaller. We are not adding or subtracting in this section. So here, because my number gets smaller, I know that I've divided 3 by 3 to get 1. Whatever I do to the top part of my rate, I'm going to apply the same operation to the bottom part of my rate. So I'm going to also divide 36 by 3. Okay, and when we divide both of them by 3, 36 divided by 3 gives us 12. So in my table, I'll fill that in also. Therefore, our unit rate is 12 people per van. Remember that per means for every 1 van. Let's look at another example. A recipe calls for 24 eggs to 4 cups of milk. The unit rate is the number of eggs per cup of milk. What is the number of eggs per cup of milk? So the 2 different things that we are comparing is we're comparing the number of eggs to the number of cups of milk. The original number that they give us is 24 eggs for 4 cups of milk. So I'm just inputting that information into my table. Then it wants to know what is the number of eggs per cup of milk, which tells me that my milk column is now going to turn to a number 1. We want to figure out how much milk there is, or how many eggs there are per cup of milk. So now let's think, how much has that row in our table changed? How much does it change to go from 4 to 1? To go from 4 to 1, we are dividing by 4. If I divide the bottom part of our table by 4, I have to also divide the top part of our table by 4. And 24 divided by 4 is 6, which tells me that there will be 6 eggs per cup of milk. So that there will be our answer. Let's look at one last example. Sonia can walk 6 kilometers in 3 hours. If she has to walk 10 kilometers, how much time will it take her? In this instance, the problem is not taking us directly back to finding the unit rate, but in order to solve this problem, the easiest thing will be in this middle section of our table to find the unit rate and then change it to the 10 kilometers. So first let's talk about the 2 units of measure that we are comparing, kilometers and hours. So I'm going to put kilometers up top and hours in the bottom part of my table. So she walks 6 kilometers in 3 hours. In order to figure out how long she wants to walk 10 kilometers eventually, let's figure out how we can make this a unit rate first. So first let's change our hours to 1. We will divide 3 by 3 to get to 1. So we would divide 6 by 3, and that will give us 2. So Sonia will walk 2 kilometers for every hour. If we know that, how long will it take her to walk 10 kilometers? Well, to go from 2 to 10, we multiply by 5. So it will take her 5 hours to walk 10 kilometers. Sometimes it's easiest to find the unit rate first and then go from the unit rate to solve the rest of your problem if it's asking you to change to something other than 1 unit.